Are you looking to remove, install, or even replace your DJI Avinox motor on your electric bike? Then in this video, I'll show you everything you'll need to pay attention to. First, you need to remove the chain guide from your electric bike, like this. On this Amflow, that works with a 2.5mm Allen key. Now, we need to remove the crank arms. On the Amflow, this is done using self-releasing crank arms. That means you just need to insert the 8mm Allen key into the crank and pull it off with a good amount of force. You'll just have to turn it counterclockwise. It actually does take a bit of strength, but after a while it loosens up and then you can remove the cranks. Start with the crank on the right side. We will need the crank on the left side to loosen the lock ring. As for the other one on the chain ring, you'll need a special lock ring tool. As always, you can find it and purchase it by simply visiting our online shop. With the appropriate ratchet, you are now able to loosen the lock ring by simply turning it counterclockwise. To do this, hold the crank firmly on the left side and loosen the lock ring from the chain ring. After you've also removed the chain ring, you can go ahead and take off the crank on the left side, just like you did on the other side. To do this, simply use an 8mm Allen key to unscrew the crank. Next, I recommend that you turn the e-bike by 180 degrees so that it stands completely upside down, because this position really does make working on both the motor cover and the motor itself much easier and more convenient. To remove the motor cover, we only need to loosen a total of 3 screws. You can quite easily recognize all of them by their identical panheads, as well as the fact that they are all secured with a 2.5mm Allen key. The third screw on the down tube, which uses a 3mm Allen key, is best left untouched because it secures the battery inside the down tube. Finally, to remove the motor, we still need to take out the 2 motor bolts. Each of these is secured with a pin that has a large nut on the opposite side. For this, you'll need an 8mm and a 6mm Allen key. Simply position them and, in the usual way, loosen the bolts by turning counterclockwise. Once you've removed the nuts, you can simply pull the pins out to the left and right, giving you access to the motor, which you can now easily lift out upwards. Now you just need to disconnect the 3 plug connections. Here I recommend having a third hand to hold the motor for you so that one person can comfortably disconnect everything with both hands. Otherwise, you'll have to rest the motor somewhere on your chest or on the bike and disconnect the plug connections. Now we can install the new motor, or if you were just doing maintenance, put your existing motor back in. To do this, we first connect the plugs in the motor compartment. Make sure that the notches are facing each other so that the polarity and the plug connection are correctly aligned. Here again, it's a good idea to have a third hand. Get a buddy to help you out with the whole process. Then we can insert the motor into the frame. Make sure it sits properly and that no cables are pinched between the motor and the frame, and in general that none of the cables are bent too sharply. If you are able to see clearly through the frame sleeves, you can now slide the bolts back in place and fasten everything with the nuts. We can then reattach the protective cover to both the motor and the frame by using the 3 mounting screws provided. Once you have completed that step, we can then return the bike to its original horizontal position. In other words, rotate the bike another 180 degrees to finish this part of the process. Then, carefully tighten the left crank arm with the 8mm Allen key. Here you can really use all the strength you've got, so don't hesitate to give it your best effort. It can easily handle that. Next, carefully put the chainring back on the right side, then gently screw the lock ring on loosely. Now I recommend that you already put the chain onto the chainring. Using a cable tie, you can now firmly pull the rear brake so that the rear wheel is completely locked. Then, with the lock ring tool and either a ratchet or a torque wrench, tighten the chainring securely with proper force. We use 30 Nm here. It handles that easily. Afterwards, tighten the right crank arm again in the same way as you did on the left side. No need to be too gentle here either. The crank bolts are rated up to 54 Nm. You can hardly reach that just with your own physical strength anyway, so you can really tighten them down firmly. And as the final step, reinstall the chain guide, and then you will have already successfully swapped out, installed or removed the Avinox motor on your e-bike. If you ever need any spare parts for your DJI e-bike, please feel free to check out our online shop. We've prepared a wide selection for you there. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section down below, give the video a like, and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss out on any exciting news about DJI Amflow and everything that's going on in the e-bike industry.